Hey y'all, what's good? What's happening? How you doing? How you feeling? I'm back here once again, this time doing a bit different video than what I normally do. But hey, I am the unexpected wonder, so you gotta expect the unexpected. Anyways, this time I'm talking about actually a subject that is quite dear to me. Talking about the impact of Allen Iverson, the legacy of one of the greatest players, one of the greatest athletes ever. I'm talking about basketball players. Now, if you don't know who Allen Iverson is, either A, you're not that old, or B, you are on somewhere else, or C, you somewhere not from America, not from the States. He was an icon during the early 2000s. Now, this video will mainly focus around the Facebook status I wrote Monday. My own personal Facebook status. I don't got no fan page and nothing crazy like that. But because you gotta understand, Allen Iverson's jersey, his number 3 jersey, was retired in Philadelphia, by the 76ers. I believe it was Sunday night. So that's huge. And I'm also going to be talking about Allen Iverson's career and things that went around in his career. So here's what it is. This is what I said. So the Philadelphia 76ers retired the number 3 jersey last night, which belonged to the answer, Allen Iverson, aka AI. This is more than well deserved for one who, in my view, is one of the top 5 greatest basketball players of all time. Okay, not just NBA, all time, period. At 6'5", 165, 6 foot, 165 pounds. He's arguably pound for pound the greatest player to ever play the game. He was the most proficient, lethal scorer of his era, with a quickness I had never witnessed before. Handles like no other. That's dribbling ability and all that for those who are ignorant. Could get to the basket anytime he willed, and was an assassin with his shots. He was an elite, lockdown defender with some of the quickest hands you'll ever see. This dude could steal the ball, man. I'm not even joking. This dude had steals for days. But I'll get into more of that later. His desire to play, will to win, and courage to persevere and get back up time and time again, no matter how much of a beating and injuries he took. He would often drive and get he'd get knocked out. This dude had injuries for days. For days. Before Dwayne Wade was, get back up, man. Hey, I did that a few years earlier. He was simply an icon during the early 2000s, and clearly one of the most polarizing figures, not only in basketball and or sports history, but simply in all of human history. That's simply factual stuff. Okay. I'm certain that not only for myself, but also for most of my generation, not that old, y'all. Okay. Surprise, surprise, right? AI was the inspiration to play basketball. No disrespect to MJ, his airness, Michael Jordan, who is the greatest player of all time. But Allen Iverson, as a public figure, represented so much during the transitional period in American history. One can say he embodied the rap and hip-hop culture of the day. He was constantly put under scrutiny. Oh, Jesus. He was constantly put under scrutiny for his past, tats, that's tattoos, y'all, normal speech, he talked, slang, everyday talk, even, all this special stuff that you often see athletes have to do now, even if they don't talk like that. Wardrobe of street clothes. He would be coming to press conferences and interviews, where, we're talking about his younger days. He wasn't really wearing suits or anything like that. Do-rags, hats. And for those who don't know do-rags, they're not like bandanas. They're like, the kind of things you wrap around your head. You feel me? You see guys wearing. And tennis shoes. He had his own line. Very stylish shoes. My brother had some. I don't believe I ever had any Iversons or the Answers or anything like that. And for being an outspoken young black man before the time when it was deemed acceptable. I mean, you can have LeBron, and you have these different. LeBron's getting a bit up there now. He's in about his 30s, whatever. But, AI, he was saying stuff early on in his career. First 3, 4, 5 seasons up in there. And he was young. You feel me? He only spent like a season in Georgetown University. So that was some groundbreaking stuff. He was expected to act and be like a 35-year-old in his early 20s. I grew up watching this foolishness. And I say foolishness because the way the media did this, man, it was simply unfair. But what do you expect? Being black, man. Being black. Just saying. Won't go into it in this video so much, though. With all that being said, he became an icon and was the representative for many of us coming up that it was okay to be just as we are, or as Pac said in the song Thug's Mansion, we ain't gotta get all dressed up and be Hollywood. From my view anyway, Allen Iverson was the Muhammad Ali for my generation. Okay, and then dude mentioned practice, dudes, like what I said and whatnot. And there's a couple things I want to say, and I quoted. I said, "Practice. We're talking about practice, not a game, not the game that I go out there and die for and play like it's my last." And I'll put a couple links in the description. I'll say it at the end of this video as well. To the practice video, which is infamous, famous for, however you want to say it, and as well as I believe a highlights video. Skip down to another thing I said before I go into more thoughts on Allen Iverson. AI. I'm simply telling the truth. Very few probably know the depth of his impact upon my own life and the lives of those around my age. I remember MJ, and I want to be like Mike very well. In a sense, Kobe and LeBron are disciples, LeBron James are disciples of that school of play. Even though LeBron's like Magic, what I mean by that, like the whole style, the whole, even dress, how he's viewed, the whole assassin, just if you analyze, and that's why you see the comparisons, all that jazz, right? Like I said, LeBron is, if you compare him, he's more like Magic. He's his own player, but you understand what I'm saying? But yeah, it's more along that, even that, that kind of player. You could say prototype. I don't know, however you want to say it. But with AI, we're talking about a player who brought real street ball to a mainstream audience before even the days of And One. Now, Youngblood and One. How do I explain And One? Just go back and YouTube And One. I'm talking about And One Street Ball, the mixtape tour and all that, the hot sauce, that Philippine, sick with it. Skip to my little Future, the air up there. We talking about main event. We talking about who else on who else? Ayo, there's so many. Spider, the Professor, Also, he was a talking about Allen Iverson. He was a representative of street ball at an even greater level than that of Dr. J. That's Julius Erving, for those who are possibly ignorant. Connie Hawkins, Walt Clyde Frazier, George Iceman Gervin, and others of the 70s. especially those who originated out of the mecca of basketball, Rucker Park, Rucker Park, Rucker Park, y'all. Back then, they played with style. Even a white player, Pistol Pete Maravich, showed up before his time. Still, AI simply represented street ball at an even greater extent from an evolutionary standpoint. He also did it in the era of big numbers. Like, dudes were putting up buckets in Earth. I mean, there's I'm gonna probably deal with a video talking about errors in the NBA or whatever. But dudes are talking about ball hogs and stuff now. No, dude, it was coming. Everybody was in love with it. Like, dudes were putting up numbers. He also did it in the era of big numbers when Shaq, Shaquille O'Neal, Kobe, T-Mac, that's Tracy McGrady, Vinsanity, Eric Carter, that's Vince Carter, KG, that's Kevin Garnett, Stevie Franchise, that's Steve Francis, the big fundamentalist Tim Duncan, the Truth Paul Pierce, and Ray Allen. See, what a lot of people don't know is Ray Allen. I'll finish it. And Ray Allen were dropping 30, 40, and 50 points regularly. Ray Allen, even before the Sonics, he played on the Milwaukee Bucks. And if you go like, I as a Heat fan, I remember he used to tear the Heat up. Ray Allen, he was lethal. You know what I'm saying? Even before his three-point game became so just damaging, Ray Allen got buckets. He got to line. He got buckets, okay? And AI was all up in this, and he still shined. Along with Kobe, Shaq, Kobe, and AI, they were the figures above everybody else. They were the men, okay? And AI, like, this dude's so smart. Now, the thing is about his past, and so kind of he grew up in the hood, criminal background. That's what a lot of hounded him. People didn't like his antics, the way he dealt with things. But I mean, he was just real, and he wouldn't take crap for nobody. He played, and just listen to his practice speech. If you don't know, man, go watch highlights. Go watch games that AI played. He went out there and he would die out on the court. I mean, he literally gave up everything. This dude, like, he was so inspirational. You know what I'm saying? Dude, I was tall at the time, but I'm a little bit taller, but I'm about his height, you know what I'm saying? A little bit longer, but about his weight and stuff. So, it makes you think great. It's like, his natural abilities as an athlete, phenomenal. But, it was just firing him. And he's the first player to pretty much single-handedly take a team to the finals. Now, we lost. He almost won. LeBron did it, and he was the second player. LeBron did it in 2007. Sorry, y'all, 07. But the Cleveland Cavaliers got swept by the Spurs. It wasn't even a contest. But AI, I mean, you can say, but of course he has a team. But I mean, he had Eric Snow. That's the only, Eric Snow, Aaron McKee. I mean, he had no other real names. But this dude literally was single-handedly. I remember one game he beat the Lakers single-handedly. And you gotta remember, this was the Lakers dynasty of the early 2000s. I mean, you had not just Shaq and Kobe. You had role players for days. I mean, you had Big Shot, Robert Ory. He's eventually became a 7-time champion. Houston Rockets, Lakers, Spurs. You had also Rick Fox. You had Derek Fisher. Derek Fisher was there for every one of Kobe's championships. You had Bronch. You had a crew. And AI, I mean, Tyronn Lue got embarrassed. That's at one, but AI, he played like there's so much, you wanted to be he made basketball cool. He made it this is, we can relate to that. Cause also, I'm a bit younger, so I mean, I grew up watching MJ, but that's for a little bit over. Even AI talked about, MJ was the inspiration for his kind of generation. Okay, What else more can we say? This man was wrong. This man was wrong. The league did him all kinds of wrong. Philly, they did him wrong. Not the Larry Brown. He didn't go out. You know, him and Larry Brown didn't really have beef. That the media screwed him over because he was a rebel. You know, at that time, tats when I used to see tats readily, but at the time, no. The NBA made a ban, you know, on street clothes. You had to wear suits for a while. They still sort of do, but you know, you couldn't wear regular clothes because of Allen Iverson. You know, the do-rag and all these things, see, hats and whatnot. You know, the league did him wrong. You know, after he left, he went to Denver, and Denver had some squad. You know, then he went to the Pistons. The Pistons did all kind of, and that was the downfall of the Pistons. You know, you could say that when they screwed over AI, that was their downfall. Rodney said, look, even at age AI, in his prime, why are you not playing him? But you know what? I'm not going to go too far, but really though, it ain't wrong that man. We're talking about a legend, Hall of Fame caliber player, and you have him sitting the bench, and then he went to, I even forgot about Memphis most of the time until was reminded. But you know, teams did him wrong. The league did this man wrong. Period. Because he was different. Because he was a rep. Because he wouldn't take jack. You know, people like, oh, you should have just said that he's. No, you talent. You deserve to be out there. Especially compared to some of the people they be having out there right now. Look at the Pistons now. Look at that. I mean, and then nobody would pick him up. You understand what I'm saying? You tell me he didn't have game compared to some of these cats out here? Come on, man. You tell me the Charlotte Bobcats couldn't use him? You tell me the Washington Wizards for the longest time? You tell me the New York Knicks couldn't use him? You know, I can go there and there. But at least Philly allowed him to play some, you know. But, what a, you know, he took stuff. And yeah, he made some mistakes, you know. But he showed he was human. And I forgot this, but I had made a cover, and I had said, you know, this is the only celebrity or athlete, whatever how I worded it, that is actually a hero of my hero. Because I don't really have heroes, but you know, he was a real man. You understand? Now I might not necessarily agree with all the decision making, whatever, but he was a man. You know, he was human. You feel me? His emotion. He played. He went out there and he did what he did. He did at the highest level, at the elite level. He was never recognized for the caliber of defender he was either. That's another thing. Like everybody always knows from school, but he was an elite defender. It's the same thing how Kobe. At least Kobe gets respected. You know, LeBron, the great ones. That's what they do. They do it on both ends of the floor. You understand? They do it on both ends. You know, I don't want to extend this too long, but you know, the legacy of Allen Iverson. It's subtle in a lot of ways, but it's large. It's impact. And if you lived during that era, you couldn't help but be affected, whether you agree with him or not. And there, you know, he was polarizing. You know, more polarizing than Tim Tebow. That's debatable. But he was very polarizing for a few different reasons. You know, there's always the bad ones, you know, non-legit ones, and then there's the legit ones. But if you didn't like his style, you know, you didn't have to like him. You didn't have to like his style. You had to respect him. You had to respect his results. This man gave you, you know, greatness. And if you're gonna respect MJ, Michael, you know, Magic, Larry Bird, them big old Will, Bill Russell, Shaq, Kobe, you know, LeBron, James, you know, I could go through a whole long list. Tim Duncan. You gotta put this man here up there. You have to. Not expecting one to like, comment, subscribe. Tell me your thoughts about Allen Iverson. How did he impact your life? What do you remember him for? What is his legacy to you? Alright, y'all. Till next time. Peace.